This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to join by Kevin Barry here at his gym in Las Vegas. Kevin, how are you doing?
Andy, doing fine, and great to have you and Boxing Social in my gym.
I appreciate you giving up some time today. Obviously, we've got a busy day ahead with regards to media events, but it's good to catch up with you. You've obviously had Tyson in the gym ahead of, you can't beat a big heavyweight fight, Kevin, and we've got another one on Saturday. Just first and foremost, having seen Tyson in the gym, how's he been looking?
Oh, he looks very powerful at the moment, powerful and strong, highly motivated. With this fight being postponed over the COVID and a couple of other issues, I think he's really excited about getting into the ring on Saturday night, October 9. This is a fight that has been exciting the boxing world. It's a fight that has to take place, and what I think puts a lot more emphasis on this fight was the result of the Joshua Usyk fight a week ago. So I think Tyson wants to put a stamp on this fight, on his performance, and show that he is the number one guy in world heavyweight boxing.
There's a lot of kind of uncertainty about how this fight will play out, simply because you can't rule out Deontay with his power, and we've seen Tyson approach it in two different ways. The first fight, he boxed throughout. Second fight, he was aggressive, he's come forward and he stopped Deontay. From what you've seen in the gym, I know you won't want to give too much away, but what should we expect from Tyson in this third fight?
Well, I think we're going to see a very confident Tyson Fury, a guy who, coming in at 273 for the second fight, just manhandled Deontay Wilder, took him apart. I think we're going to see him trying to impose his size, his reach, his strength once again. And it worked for him so well in fight two. I'd expect something very similar in fight three. The pressure for this fight is all on Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury seems very comfortable in his own skin at the moment, in his own abilities. We know mentally he's a very strong fighter, a fighter who is gifted, a fighter who has tremendous boxing IQ, a guy that can fight on the inside, fight on the outside. He can fight orthodox, he can fight southpaw. He's a nightmare for anyone. He's a very, very hard style for any heavyweight in the world.
We've never really seen Deontay give Tyson any credit for his performances in both of their fights so far, especially because Deontay's continued to speak about cheating allegations and what have you in the build-up. From your interactions with Tyson, has it rolled him up anymore? Has it made him want to make even more of a statement in this third fight, in what many believe will probably be the last time they do share a ring together?
Look, I don't think so. I don't think Tyson Fury worries about what other people say or what other people do. He's got a plan. Him and his coach, and his team have worked on a strategy. As I mentioned before, he's very comfortable being Tyson Fury. He's not trying to be anyone that he's not. When you mentioned that about Deontay Wilder, that's my biggest concern for him, is that he never took ownership of his performance in fight two. He was never honest with himself and saying, hey, it didn't work out. I was dropped in rounds 3 and rounds 5. There had to be a reason. Instead, he decided that the blame was going to go on everyone else. He blamed Mark Breland, which I felt really bad for Mark. I thought he did a great job in developing Wilder to the fighter he is. He blamed the suit that he wore to the ring. He blamed the referee. He said that Breland spiked his water, that Tyson, cheated with the gloves. Come on. Take ownership of your performance. You're not going to move on until you do. And that, when they made this fight, and reading what's been said, I think this is the biggest thing that Deontay Wilder needs to come to grips with, to owning what happened to him in fight two.
How much bigger do you feel this trilogy bout is compared to the previous two affairs between Deontay and Tyson, Kevin?
Well, I think fight two was a special fight. We saw it did a record gate here in Vegas. it was a big deal. You know, we'd all seen fight one. We were amazed by fight one, and the boxing world and the sporting world were excited to see the rematch. Now that we're into fight three, I think they're still excited, but I think they're more excited now because they know anything can happen in heavyweight boxing. Like a lot of people looking at the Joshua Usyk fight thought that Joshua was going to have too much firepower and eventually the big, strong, powerful guy would blow through the smaller guy. The same people that thought that are probably the ones who think that Deontay Wilder is going to come out and hit Fury on the chin and knock him out. You know, we've seen time and time again, skill is the great equalizer for power. And we saw it a week ago with Usyk, and we definitely saw it in fight two with Fury and Wilder. You know, the skill was night and day. One guy was in control from the first bell to the end.
With Deontay in this fight, we've obviously seen him team up with Malik Scott. Kevin, what have you made of that move and the footage that we've seen released over social media? What do you read into it?
Well, look, you know, social media footage is great for marketing and promoting the fight. I have a lot of respect for Malik Scott. I know him personally. I've had him in camp. I was thrilled to see Malik get that position as coach. Malik is a really through and through experienced boxing guy, but he's not an experienced coach. One thing I know for sure, Malik Scott will bring a lot of passion and a lot of enthusiasm into the Wilder camp. You know, Malik's a guy who's very, very good on detail. He'll be very thorough. As we've seen, you know, we've seen Malik working on Wilder's balance. We've seen him working on a selection of body punches. We've seen him in some articles saying that, you know, one of the biggest concerns was him going straight back, going in a straight line. These are all things that are very, very relevant, and these were things that were not up to par in fight two. But like saying it and doing it are two totally different things. And we all know, like, when somebody gets punched in the face, they resort back to their default, what they know, to their muscle memory. And for me, the big thing will be, sure, like, you know, I'm thinking that Malik would have installed some new skills into Deontay Wilder. But this is a guy very deep into his career, and it's, you know, as we all know, it's very hard to teach old dogs new tricks. But, you know, one man can make a difference. It just depends on how those new skills that he's learning are going to be when he gets punched in the face.
That's something that's going to come on to. Do you believe that when Tyson does land that first time, Deontay will find it difficult to resist reverting back to his old style and just looking for that one-punch knockout?
Well, I think common sense would tell us that, but we don't know. You know, maybe with the extra time and with the fight being postponed and the fact that it's 20 months since they last fought, they've had a long time to work together. But, you know, I don't think we're going to find the answer to that until Saturday night. You know, when we know that Tyson Fury is going to come out and he's going to look to put hands on Deontay Wilder early.
With Deontay, obviously you mentioned the body shots we've seen footage of. It's an interesting thing because we haven't really seen anybody look to work Tyson to his body, and with it being such a big frame and with that footage that we've seen, like I say, do you expect that to be something Deontay's going to look to maybe work on him throughout the fight?
Well, look, maybe. I don't think we can really tell. See, one is when you've got a guy like Tyson who's 6'9", with an 85-inch reach, it's very hard to get to a guy's body if he decides to keep you on the outside. But as we know, Tyson also likes to step in close. He fights very good on the inside for a big man. He likes to put his bulk, his weight on you. So I'm sure Tyson's going to be looking to do that. So whether or not Wilder can throw those punches to the body. The other thing about when you go to the body, whether it's with your left rib or your right rib. As you throw that body shot, like when you throw your left, you're open to the right hand to the chin. When you throw your right, you're open for a left hook. And these are two punches that, we know Tyson's a skillful guy. He's got very good, fast hands. He's got great reflexes. So if he sees the opening, he's going to take it.
Final thing on this fight, Kevin. What is your prediction?
Look, I think the fight goes some rounds. But I just think that we saw the blueprint in fight 2, and I just think that the size, the skill of Tyson Fury will overpower Deontay Wilder. For me, we talked before about Tyson coming in at 273, practically a career high. I think the highest he ever fought it was 276. But he came 273 last time, 17 pounds heavier than the first fight. Deontay Wilder came in at 231, 19 pounds heavier than the first fight. Well, we know that didn't work for him. So it'd be very interesting to see what weight he stands on the scales at. That's something that could be a factor in this fight.
You said you believe Tyson will overpower Deontay, so with that in mind, do you think it'll be a stoppage win?
Look, I can see him breaking him down. I really can. I think a lot of people overemphasize the knockout power of Deontay Wilder. Sure, he's in 44 fights, he's got 41 knockouts, so it's pretty damn impressive. I think people forget that he went 12 rounds with Bermain Stavern. 11 rounds with Duhaupas, 9 rounds with Eric Molina and Spilka, 8 rounds with Areola. Now, those 5 guys, none of them could win a round with Tyson Fury. So, we know that Tyson can take a punch. We know he's a big, strong guy. We know he's a clever fighter. I see a lot of fight 2 and fight 3.
Kevin, just want to touch on a couple of fights on the undercard amongst some other topics. Robert Helenius versus Adam Kownacki, more heavyweight action.
The first fight was a great fight, and it shocked a lot of people. And I tell you what, it saw that I think more than anything else, watching that first fight, Kownacki's fight with Areola, where they broke the world record for the number of punches thrown, I think it was very, very evident that the Areola fight took a lot out of him. And then when we saw Areola back it up with a great performance with Andi Ruiz, it all added up. Sure, Kownacki's he's had a long time to prepare and recover and to get things right. It was a fight that he was winning, but a fight that he was very beaten in 4 rounds. So I think Kownacki can come back, tidy his defence up a little bit, and get a win in that fight.
Another big one between Efe Ajagba and Frank Sanchez. Your take again, Kevin?
Really, really exciting fight. 2 undefeated prospects, 1 real puncher in Ajagba. I've watched them working in the gym. Like, he's a big, strong guy, a little bit robotic. Frank Sanchez, I've watched through his busy 3 years as a pro. Very skillful guy, comes out of the Cuban program. We know he's talented and skillful. That is a very exciting fight. It's very similar to Wilder and Fury, for the simple fact that Ajagba is the Wilder and Frank Sanchez is the Fury. And I can see, if Ajagba doesn't catch him clean, which I think it's going to be hard to do, I can see Sanchez winning that fight.
Some big heavyweight action back in the UK on October 30th. Dillian Whyte versus Otto Wallin. Again, a very good matchup. What's your take?
I love that fight. And look, big props to Dillian Whyte. Fights everyone. I think he's got his hands full this time. I just really, really do. I looked at Otto Wallin in the 2 fights since he fought Fury. He absolutely dismantled Brazil in that fight. He looked terrific. He looked at a guy that had grown in confidence, who realized that, hey, I can be up here. I'm a top 10 guy. Give me the opportunity. And he's still young, and I really think that it's a fight that could be very, very difficult for Dillian Whyte. I think it's a fight that if Wallen doesn't get clipped early and settles in, I think he'll box the ears off Dillian Whyte.
Your old charge, Joseph Parker, faces Derek Chisora in his rematch on December 18th. Again, what do you expect to see in that rematch this time around?
Exciting fight. Really exciting fight. There was a lot going on for Joe in the first fight. I don't think that his preparation was entirely on point. This time he's had more time to prepare. We all know what Chisora's about. He's an aggressive guy. He's going to come at you and he's going to try and beat you down. And Chisora thought he was hard done by in the first fight against Parker. I watched it closely. And it was actually Joe's first fight without me in the corner with him. First one since we parted ways, and I thought he won the fight. I had him 2 points ahead. I think this time, I think Parker beats him easier.
And then just final thing, Umar Salamov obviously getting ready for Joe Smith Jr. What is the latest with that with regards to a date and what have you? Big
fight, exciting fight for our team. Umar's a fighter that we have really big hopes for and big raps on. He's the mandatory to Joe Smith. Joe Smith won the title this year, fighting Maxime Vlasov in a fight that was very, very close. Smith's a tough, durable, hard guy. I just think that Salamov's waited a long time for this opportunity to wear a strap, and he's got himself in very good shape. He's a very big light heavyweight, 6'3.5", hits very hard, as does Smith. I just think that that Umar has better skills, has a much bigger skill set, and we haven't got the exact date yet. It's a possibility for the end of November, or we're also looking at dates around the middle of December. But that fight will happen this year, and we can't wait for it.
It's a stacked division. The top contenders in that division, obviously Artur Beterbiev, Dmitry Bivol, amongst others. How exciting a time is this for Umar to be a part of that division?
Well, it's very exciting if we can get everything right in this fight against Joe Smith and become world champion. We have a lot of very big, exciting options moving forward. So he's highly motivated, and I think we're going to see the very best of him. And this, look, as is the case in many divisions at the moment, the light heavyweight division is a hot division. But go right across the board. You can just about look at any division. Boxing is exciting at the moment. We've got some great champions and some great fights being made.
Kevin, we'll leave that there now. Leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate your time as always. Thank you for speaking to me and Boxing Social.
Andy, it's always a pleasure, mate. And Boxing Social's my favourite team. I'm always available for you guys.
Kevin, appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure thing.